order. We're waiting for a couple more members, but as long as we have a quorum, we're good. So here we go. Would you call the roll, please?
Chair Mertic,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson, Commissioner Nicky Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Okay, so the first item we have on our agenda is the garage at 3 Lewis, which apparently you're the owner of.
I'm 3 Lewis
Lewis.
Avenue.
You're
That-
3.
She represents,
I manage 268 Chestnut. Our garages adjoin.
Okay, so let's see some photographs. Do you have them on your?
She does. Looking professional.
Give me credit, Joe.
You make them professional.
They're on the same. We're
Yeah.
messing around.
I think
Even
we
in
just
general.
wanna talk to
Yeah.
us about it.
yeah, well, that's what,
Yeah.
Okay, so I see the corner aspect of it. So which part of it is
That's Lewis.
3 Lewis? Are we looking at 3 Lewis now?
right, 3 Lewis is the right half. It's, mine is, that's my house right here is to the right,
Okay,
okay?
so.
And that little
so the
8-foot
white
space.
White thing is yours?
The small one, yes,
Okay, the
yes.
small one is yours?
Yes, you could see the roof to the left is a little higher than their roof, the 268. That's mine, period. And looks like they built around mine into my wall.
Okay, so let's see, let's keep going. There's just one more photograph.
I think she only has a couple.
Yes, that,
I have more if needed.
Oh,
Well, she's got
this is.
Oh, okay.
268.
Oh,
that's,
okay.
that's the
Alright.
rear of mine.
That's
That,
the
that,
rear of yours?
yes, and that foundation is to my house and to the, if you see the right corner, that's the
Oh, I
edge.
see, and I see the door.
That's,
and the
that's,
window.
yep, that's mine, and that top little piece is the 268 that they are.
Okay,
So that is leaning into my garage, because it's leaning to the right. Obviously, mine cannot lean to the right because my house is there. So it's impossible for me to be leaning to the right. Yes, that's theirs.
okay, so that is the property. So what we're really talking about is 2 properties. 268, you said Chestnut,
That's all theirs.
and 2 and 3 Lewis.
So even that sliding door with the windows, that is part of 268?
Okay,
Or is that part of
this
you?
is the
No, as
Chestnut
far as I
Street
know,
one.
I only have,
That is the Chestnut Street one, yeah.
And
Okay.
we're looking at the very corner on the right of yours.
yes. So you're looking at, yes,
So when we were
left to the
looking,
right.
go back one. Right there, that, oh, no, go back one.
I'm sorry.
So I thought,
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What we see there,
Yeah,
that picture, is that all 268?
well,
yes.
this is what I thought. I thought this was 268 and this
No.
was Lewis.
No. if
Because
you go
there's a
all the way-
wall
Yeah,
here.
no. If you,
So
can
this
you
is
go to the
ours.
next one?
Yeah.
But this is mine. Mine stops right here. And I believe there's a
Oh.
stake in the ground. I'm not positive where the property line is going, because the rear. So mine goes to here, and then this is all 268. So
Really?
268, I believe, leans all the way over, and it's built around me. See, I'm here and have a wall. They hooked into my wall and around.
Question
Right.
again? So
Sure.
that opening on the right there, that's 3 Lewis?
That's just 3 Lewis. Yes, it's a very small.
Okay.
I share a driveway with them.
Okay.
What is that? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank with the, what's it called when you share property for? So I share the driveway.
Easement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
easement. I have an easement from,
Easement, right.
so I can get to this
Okay.
through here.
So the code enforcement, thanks.
No, sorry.
No, just so that everybody
No, that's
understands,
good, we're good.
because I don't understand.
Under Chapter 92, the Board of Public Service has the responsibility of determining whether, and actually you two can each have one of these, so would you mind?
Yeah, I got it.
This is what we're going to be reading from, and
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I've been looking at it the whole wrong way though.
so we have specific criteria which are outlined A to J or K. Yes, those, J. And the code enforcement office has determined that the following criteria apply to these two structures, which are kind of one structure, right? A, B, C, D, E. F, G, H, I, J, all of them? That's the first time I think we've ever had all of them.
You said that at our last meeting.
I know.
Yes, you did.
I know, that's the alphabet, isn't it? So, under chapter 92, we as citizen board members determine whether we agree with the code enforcement office assessment. And if we do, we affirm that the building is unsafe. Then we have three choices. We can either order it repaired, we can order it vacated, which in this case is a garage, so that really doesn't apply, or we can order it demolished. Sometimes we do two things, vacated and repaired, or whatever. I mean, obviously if it's demolished, it has to be vacated. So, do we have questions for the code enforcement office or for these two property owners? I mean, the photographs are pretty straightforward.
Well, honestly, the question is, as far as unsafe, is 3 Lewis Avenue, the garage itself.
Yes.
But-
So,
You just said 3 Lewis. I'm 3 Lewis. They're 3, but that's not my garage. It's leaning on my property. Her garage can come down. Mine can stay without any foundation problem. Mine is concrete from, if we saw by the foundation of the rear, plus hooked to mine. So mine can't lean. So you keep saying 3, but that's where I'm confused because I'm 3. That's not my garage. If that garage doesn't exist, I'm fine.
68 Chestnut Street, so we misidentified the property?
No, they share a garage.
Can I have a question?
Yes, but his position is that his building is actually separate. Like, there's actually a separate wall,
Yeah.
separate everything. You're
I think
inclined,
you invited Jeremiah, so he was involved in the process.
Yes.
Knowing that your neighbor's garage.
Yeah, yes, and I'm
but it
just
should have
fine.
listed the property owner of 268 and not the property owner of
Excuse me,
3
question.
Lewis.
Sure.
This opening, that's your garage on 3 Lewis.
Yes, everything to the left,
I
right, starting
got
right
that
there,
part.
is the other
We're
part.
trying to- So the code enforcement people, they determined that particular portion of the garage.
Oh, we're doing.
Well, I was one of them that was under the assumption that both owners wanted it down.
Got it.
But if you don't,
No, thank you.
Well, the only, like I
Because we didn't
told
know
Megan,
if
yeah,
we
the
could.
only problem is, obviously, we saw the rear picture. I didn't realize, but my foundation goes all the way out, tied into my foundation. That
So,
wall comes down.
there's
I
a-
have to do construction. Do you understand what I'm saying?
There's like a concrete wall that extends out at the back of his garage,
If
which
you
I
look
have
at your agenda,
different
we also
photos
have
of
268
if we need to look at them.
garage.
So his concern is
We are
one,
considering
if we
the-
take the full garage down,
Okay.
that he messes with his
Foundation.
foundation.
that's true.
But we can't leave just a brick stone wall there, right, with nothing, because I don't.
You have the picture.
You're the code enforcement, these are the questions we
Yeah,
have.
that was my major concern, because now we go from just taking down a garage to now, yeah,
And now
that,
we have this
that's
big
my
stone
foundation,
wall left.
from left to right.
Excuse me, we're trying to listen to this conversation you people are having down here. So what is the claim now, that if you take?
So this is the back wall
Let
of
me
his
ask the
garage.
question. I see 3 Lewis garage opening, and then to the left of that, there's 268 garage. The claim is that if you take 268 garage down, that leaves 3 Lewis unsupported?
That was another concern of ours. So if we go in and we have our garage removed, right? The wall that connects 268 to 3 Lewis is it like I don't want to send somebody in and have them remove our garage if he wants his left and then subsequently his garage falls down. Like I don't know how supported it is at that existing
Right, right.
wall.
And
One of those where
Let me ask the code,
And-
Can I ask the code enforcement?
You know, I was talking, you gotta wait your turn.
Well, I'm sorry, I asked you a question and you started talking to them and I missed it. Is the 3 Lewis Garage, is that, all of these conditions apply to 3 Lewis Garage?
Yes, but anything's repairable. I mean, if he wants to keep it, and that would be the thing I would suggest, that 268 be demolished, but then 3 would have to be repaired to stand alone. Because there again, we don't know until you get
Okay,
into
so-
that.
So I
what the
think
walls
the
are.
recommendation we're getting is that in the case of the 3 Lewis Garage, which is what's before us right now, is that we would order it repaired and secured. Obviously, this open doorway with debris inside isn't very safe from a public standpoint. So if we declare 3 Lewis Garage unsafe, we can order it repaired and secured and the debris cleaned up, and let him meet that criteria with the code enforcement office, instead of demolished.
I have a question. Sorry. So, I mean, maybe this is a question for you to ask, but with you ordering it repaired, right? Say we get in, we take ours down, and he decides to take his down, can he do that? Or does it have to be
You'd have to
repaired?
come back.
We would have to come back, so his would have
He
to
would,
sit.
you would.
We
Well,
could,
he
we
would.
could give you that option.
Okay, just because I'm just saying, like, once we get in and start doing it, maybe after you see, like, ours down condition of yours by itself, maybe he would change his mind. I was just curious,
Yeah,
that's
no,
all.
we could certainly,
Yeah,
I was just curious.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just confused. And I guess I should start with Joe. Joe, like, we're looking at this. Mine is supported by a concrete, theirs is
In the
wood.
back, yep.
268 is the problem, not 3. 268 leans on 3. I could,
Well,
well, there's
just one second, let me just finish. What you're looking at is, my wall is up, their wall connects to mine, so they could take it down. Mine would have to be restructured, obviously because they're gonna remove some of their, but my wall is intact. Mine's supported by my house and by that foundation wall. If there's one 2x4, that's not falling down. I do construction too. So my wall this is sound. 268 isn't sound. We keep saying
Yeah, well, no,
3
I-
Lewis Avenue, but 3 Lewis Avenue is not why we're here. I was here
If you-
for
if you
268.
look- If you look below on number 3 on the agenda,
Oh, okay,
okay?
okay. As long as we're,
So we're good.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
I
yes,
would-
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. As long as
Okay,
we're,
so let's make a decision on 3 Lewis Garage.
Yes.
I would make a motion that we declare this garage unsafe based on criteria that have been identified by the code enforcement office. That's step 1, and then step 2, we decide what the remedy is. So my motion is just to declare this structure unsafe, and then we'll decide what our order is going to be. Just-
Can I have another question? This gentleman's claim is that his garage is actually not leaning. So the criteria say that the walls are structured, listed, buckled, and whatever.
Yeah, I think probably we've misidentified the conditions. So let's go back through the conditions.
Because again, a few minutes ago, you suggested,
Um,
and this may be what this gentleman would prefer.
Right, and it may be.
His garage can
Right.
be repaired.
So it may be that it's not A, it's not B, it's not C, but it is D. Those have been damaged.
argument.
Those which, probably not E, probably not F. H certainly, and I. So let's say we're amending our criteria to be D, H, and I. Would that be more satisfactory to you? I can see your point.
You people have,
Yeah, yes, that sounds more realistic than me qualifying for all these. Yes, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that doesn't need to be fair. Yes, I mean, that is all in the works for me to do.
You would try to repair your garage?
Yeah, yes, I mean, ultimately I would, but I think we're gonna have a problem, is that my foundation would have to be cut, and I don't know what that entails, Joe.
So let's decide whether we're
I'm
going to
nervous
declare it
about that part.
unsafe first. So we have a motion second on the table. Go.
Chairperson,
Yes.
Commissioner
Okay.
Livermore,
I think yes.
Commissioner Hartley.
Okay, whatever you say.
Okay, the
I was
remedy,
nervous about like calling
which
down
is-
here and saying, no,
which
this
is-
is unsafe.
is step number 2. I outlined the 3 possible outcomes. I would suggest that our remedy would be to repair it with the timetable dependent on 268. But in the meantime, secure it in such a way that people can't get inside it and
Oh,
step on nails or whatever is inside, because there's obviously
Yes,
debris inside
yes,
that
that's,
that makes
no
it
problem.
unsafe for the public.
Okay,
So secure it, repair it if possible, if not, demolish, within a timetable that is determined by 268. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
You want a second?
Yeah, so determined by basically.
Well, that's third on the agenda, so we're
I
getting to that.
understand, but what you mean is that if you demolish 268,
Then we make a decision on, right, then they make a decision on what is happening. But in the meantime, we want an immediate securing of it or cleaning it out so that it's not unsafe in case some kid gets in there. Because it's obviously open and not very safe. So that's the motion. Would you like to second it?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Go.
Chairperson,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Hartley.
Yes.
Yes. So you want to wait a few minutes because we're going to make a decision.
yes, I got you.
So let's see what's next. The next one is 19 Columbia Street. Is anybody here for 19 Columbia Street? Okay, well, let's go right on to 268. So that is page, well, that's okay. So in this case, probably all of those criteria do apply, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. And I don't think we have any disagreement by the owner. We have photographs. I did a drive-by. I didn't realize that they were 2 separate ones, so thank you for clarifying that. So I make a motion that we declare the garage at 268 unsafe.
I'll second it.
Chairperson, Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartley.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Now we come to the remedy. And the timing really is how quickly we can get it accomplished. I'm assuming you want to do it fairly quickly because you want to get it done before you have people there.
Yeah, well, there's a tenant on the bottom floor that we're trying to get out of there. But yes, we want to be able to do everything kind of
So
once
I think the same requirements are going to come to you, and that is we want it secured in some way, and when you take it down, depending on what our timetable is, we want to make sure you take all the debris away.
Yes.
As, just there's nothing left.
Okay.
So what do you think about a 60 days? 60 days is going to take us to the end of, middle August, early August.
Can I have until the end of August? Just because I have to secure or contractor's gonna have to take that down. We can't take it down.
Right.
So could we have until the end of August? Or
Guys,
what are your thoughts?
would it be acceptable to say by August 31st?
Yes, I mean, it's been there for a long time,
Yeah.
in that condition.
Okay,
Okay.
as long as it is somewhat cleaned up otherwise, just so
Yeah.
that, as with 3 Lewis, we don't have a situation where somebody's going in there,
Okay.
um,
In terms of like us hiring somebody to take it down, do you need involvement? Do you have to like come over? What do
Need a
I
permit.
do? A
They'll have to
permit.
come and get a permit. Yep.
Whoever I hire
Yep.
will have to come and get a
and
permit
both
to
of you
take it
will
down.
have to have a permit.
Okay, and
So
then
you'll
after
Okay.
it's down, you'll have to.
When
take
it
that
comes
in.
down, permit, when
Well,
it's,
yeah, we'll
yeah.
look at your permit, we'll have to get some information from him,
Okay,
as
so
we'll have to get.
The motion is
Okay,
to
perfect.
demolish the garage by the last day of August, with it currently being cleaned up so that it's not dangerous to the public, somewhat secured, and the debris removed by the, after the thing comes down, so that there isn't a pile of nails sticking out.
Right, oh no, of course.
So it should be cleaned up and secured.
Well, cleaned up in terms of the stuff that's in there, the lumber and things, just because it's attractive
Is it
nuisance.
safe to go inside the garage?
I wouldn't.
Probably not that one section, but the other one, which is just a shed.
So it should be secured, so somebody.
Right, right. So secured immediately, demolished by the end of August and cleaned up and the debris cleaned. So that's the motion. Okay, great. Go,
Chair Martzick,
yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Harlan.
Yes.
Okay. So you have some choices, you don't have any choices.
I'm okay with that. John, if we,
Okay, so the only other people we have here are the Benavides, for 253 Chestnut Street. If you remember at our last meeting, we were presented with,
thank you.
you're welcome, Phil, thanks for coming in.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'll
This is
speak to
an
you.
appeal for the trash that was cleaned up at the property while they did not have access to it. And I would make a motion that we approve this appeal with
I'd
the
like to speak to
understanding that
that.
there were some additional charges that are coming after you did have access, but this one would be forgiven. So
I'd
that's,
like to speak to that, I'd
Yes,
like to
okay.
have a chance.
okay, go ahead.
So this property, prior to this, and I know sometimes history doesn't count, but prior has been a trash problem for years and years. And we send an employee over for 10 hours, if you'll read the narrative. I don't know if you've read the narrative. I was waiting for them to read it. It's pretty short.
This is what.
Thank you.
You can just sit down with that, I'll take it back in a minute.
Thank you.
So, here's my issue. We get this a lot. We get combative tenants, we get, I don't feel comfortable going on the property. I've asked for documentation from the police department, I've not been provided with that. And we say to owners, hire a company, go in there and clean your property. This is a subject of multiple complaints. Again, if these complainants knew that we were giving leeway on a $1,400 bill, they're probably not gonna be very happy. I've had complaints since. We've had to secure the building since. We've had to re-clean since. And the So the securing part came when a neighbor called and said, I've seen people in and out of this building, which causes the code enforcement office problems. So we had to go secure it, and we've had to be the watchdog. Now, they're local owners. I don't know how you would want to forgive the entire bill on this. I think it's, given the history, given this was a self-created issue, I don't see where you can
I could
forgive the entire bill.
definitely answer some of that question for you, John, if you'd let me.
Go ahead, yeah. This,
All right, I appreciate it. We had, I want to say a year and a half ago, my insurance was it was for a whole different reason. My garage was an eyesore, and I was gonna lose my insurance on my house, and I want to say it was about a year and a half ago, and we hired an outside company. God bless my friends. We took down the entire garage. And I just didn't have the time at that time. It was more than a year and a half ago. It was like 2 years ago.
No, it was a year ago, because the kids were there.
Okay, thank you. We hired, yeah, the kids were there. We hired Anything Removal to come and take care of this while I work at Springbrook, so we were doing a massive amount of overtime over there, still in. The man had to shift his hours at 253 Chestnut Street to like almost an overnight position. I loved dealing with him. He was a great guy. And he's good friends with a lot of friends of mine, so he was even able to finagle prices, but unfortunately, because Chris Valdez, who was the tenant that was at that house, was constantly going over there and pestering him, he had to like shift his hours. And he said, look, if it's all things considered, the next time that you have garbage, is there a way that you can not have Chris there? I'm not gonna boss, the tenants around, so I said, there wasn't much I can do. So when the garbage hit again, I wasn't sure, I only knew of Anything Removal. I didn't know, my hands were tied at the situation with the sheriff. I do have proof about the eviction with the JR. I made copies of it if you would like it.
no, I think they posted the eviction on the window, and I saw it occur.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so I knew that happened.
I love dealing with him, and he was great. There is no sign of anything as far as a garage that goes. As an offshoot question, did you guys put the wooden plank over the basement door?
We had to secure it, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Yesterday, we had to go and we undid it just so we can go down there and take care of some water. We're going in there every week to go and fix that
So
house.
the people coming in and out that neighbors are seeing is probably us. 'cause
Well, they said through the window.
Huh?
They said through a window. So we had to
He
secure
did
it.
have to climb in through a window because the key, after we changed the locks, the latch didn't work, so we had to crawl in through a window to get in to open the door.
Yeah.
So we had to go
My
back to
back-
Home Depot and
And redo the whole back lock once again because it was working so well that nobody's key was getting in there. So very like my new problem, but now that works. Our new problem is we're taking care of a kitchen sink that apparently I believe the tenants told you the water was never working. They left that water running, so we're tearing apart an entire kitchen countertop and we're replacing it. I'm telling you, the day that we were allowed to go there, I cleaned up. We got trailers to go and take as much of that garbage out of there. I know those two won't apologize, so I'll say it. I'm sorry that house. I love that property. I used to love how I had that property since 2001. I loved dealing with that place, and only recently did it turn.
Would you provide the code enforcement office with your documentation that,
The completion letters, we have copies.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see.
JR was awesome that day when he came in there with us.
Let's see.
It wasn't, they didn't,
so, board members, what questions do you have?
All right, you've got all the copies.
let's give him the original, we'll keep our copies.
Yeah, because I got all right, so here's one for this one.
Can you clarify for
John?
me? Apparently, tenants were dominated
No, the sheriff apparently told them that they weren't allowed on the property until the eviction was complete.
So,
That's one.
knowing that, I watched the last meeting, and I said, I need to have documentation of that, because that's easy. It's still the situation that we get almost daily, where people say, I'm not going onto the property. And we get that all the time. We get combative tenants that scare the landlords, and then the landlords choose not to clean up, and then the tenants don't either, and it becomes a problem for the citizens. This is a warrant of eviction. I still don't have paperwork saying that they weren't allowed on the property. That's okay,
I have a,
we say,
You can call JR.
I do, I have JR's phone number if you'd like it. You want me to give him a call?
no, that's okay.
Okay.
I'm just saying that without the documentation, we advise people to say, you know, we have 4 pickup companies in the city. Before you get maggots, before you create a problem for the neighbors who have been complaining to me, you gotta take care of the property. And I don't want you guys to
Set a precedent.
set a precedent for reducing a bill entirely, and we're talking $1,400.
Can it go to Chris Valdez instead, the man that did this?
That would have to be you.
Can I ask another question? So there was the sheriff had ordered that they could not come on the property.
I haven't seen documentation of that.
Well, let's pretend that that was. Let's
Okay.
just pretend.
Okay,
So you people went on the property, is that correct?
correct,
Could they have hired somebody to go on the property?
correct.
They didn't choose not to do that.
They said they didn't have the funds for that.
So it really, they didn't have the funds. That's the reason you didn't go on the property, not because there was a sheriff's order against you going on the property. You didn't have the funds to
We
clean it
didn't
up.
have the funds to hire someone else.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with the order that you couldn't be on the property.
It costs,
You chose, because you
it
didn't have
costs
the
what,
funds,
3,000?
not to hire somebody, so the city had to do it. Is that?
That's correct. And
now
our bill
you owe-
is,
And now you owe the city for what they did.
and that's cost plus 50%. So for $1,400, Levi cleaned that property spotless.
Well, it's not cost plus 50%, it's just an hourly rate.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Is
So-
it cost plus?
No, so if the city cleans it and we use our own
Oh,
staff,
that's
it's
just
just billed
cost.
at our staff hours. So we have a calculated cost to cover our employees, their insurance, vehicles, you know, just the normal
So,
calculated cost.
so had they hired somebody, they would have got a comparable contract at $1,400 maybe.
Probably cheaper.
I don't know, I mean, we don't price
Well,
it out.
anything removal for the garage was 3, but I don't know if that would have been $3,000.
Yeah, we typically advise people to just call a private company. I mean, we try not to run a competing garbage removal service.
Yeah.
So are you saying that you didn't have the police tell you not to get onto the property?
No, we did. They did tell us to not enter the premises without.
Yeah, they said it
But
like
you didn't
3
provide
times.
John any documentation of that?
We did, I remember messaging J.R. Corn about this, the sheriff, and he gave us this instead. I could call him if you'd like, if we could have that resolved, if
It
you'd
seems
like.
to me it's immaterial. They chose not, they did not have the property cleaned because they didn't have the money. It had nothing to do with the police order.
Because otherwise we would have done it ourselves, we just weren't allowed to be there.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, so you want to make a motion?
I guess deny the appeal.
I'd second that.
Further discussion?
Chair Martic,
No.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartley.
Yes.
Fails.
Sorry.
It's okay. On a second note,
Okay,
when could I lift the unsafe building order on my house?
as soon as you have some of the repairs done.
Okay.
Okay. we have, our city administrator here, to talk about 47 Market Street. And I don't know, Frank, how familiar are you with chapter 92? I'll pass it away. You guys have a copy of this. Just so we can all, we didn't get any criteria outlined. Anyone, please?
Thanks.
So, under chapter 92, we have certain criteria, and I think we can certainly make one of them, but we have to identify, and the parking garages, none of us are engineers, so we need your help in determining what the conditions are that would cause us to declare the parking garage
Sure, so
unsafe.
I believe, was the letter from the Wendell engineer shared with the board?
Yeah, it gave general, it was very general, but if you look at our criteria, they're very specific.
Right, I'm looking at I, those which because of their.
I mean, I'm assuming that D would certainly, and possibly C, those which have improperly distributed loads upon the floors, roofs, or in which the same are overloaded, which have insufficient strength to be reasonably safe for the purpose used.
Certainly C, yeah.
Right, so C and D, and possibly egress.
I think I.
Well, yes, I mean, I is the all-purpose,
That's the
with
all-purpose,
everything covered.
Right, but certainly C and I. Egress, I'm not sure that egress is an issue.
Because I don't think we're 50%, 30% of foundation or 50% of non-supporting or outside walls or coverings. I mean, I don't think we're at that point, even though you don't want anybody in the garage. We don't have listing members, so A doesn't.
We do have some, I mean,
Do we?
it doesn't meet A, or
Okay,
it has
so-
listing members, but we do have the stair tower closest to the walk bridge is shifting.
Oh, okay,
not-
so A, C, D, G, H, those which have things that might fall and injure members of the public or property? Are we at that point?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually been the case for some years now, where
I mean,
we
that's-
put up a temporary protection where.
Your email and your picture was,
You stuck G back in again.
well, egress would be from the top, you know, that's the rail
Oh,
from
okay.
the top.
I got it.
That's car egress, that's
I
not
got it.
necessarily people
Oh,
egress.
I got it.
And I. So, so what do we have? A, C, D,
G and I.
G, H, and I.
It's too bad you can't get all of
Huh?
them. It's too bad you can't get all of them.
Well, I know, but we can't. I really, because it's not unsanitary necessarily, it's not a residential structure.
I don't know if it quite qualifies for A. I mean, it says,
Yeah, that's
center
why.
of gravity falls outside the middle.
We
of the
have no
space.
evidence of that,
It's
but
not
that's
to
why
that.
I wanted you here, because you have read the detailed report, and we only got the cover letter. You know, we didn't get the full thing, and it's a big decision.
Right, I mean, I can tell you that regardless of whether the Board of Public Service declares this unsafe or not, the city's path forward is either to demolish or to spend more money to repair.
But
so-
if you demolish it without us, you have to go through site plan review, you have to go through seeker, you have to go through public hearings. We make it, I mean, that's one of the new
Yeah.
things that the Board of Public Service is doing, is permitting a somewhat streamlined, when everybody agrees, process so that you don't have to go through that.
Right, that's why we're here, of course, yeah.
Right. So you know, when you say, well, we're gonna do it anyway,
Well, I'm just saying that,
yes,
just laying out
Yeah,
facts.
right,
I mean,
right.
it's certainly, the engineer's letter references, just read an excerpt from Wendell's recommendation, the garage.
yeah, I mean, we have a copy of that, I think.
I mean, and that qualifies for I, if nothing else. I mean, certainly the other ones he listed are considerations as well. I wouldn't say A, I would say C. Insufficient strength, reasonably safe for purpose used, yes. It is not able to support vehicle loads as intended in the parking garage. So understanding that as long as there's a checkbox anywhere on this list that qualifies, is that my understanding?
Yes.
Okay,
I
that's,
think it certainly.
that's really what we needed,
Yeah.
to know what the conditions were that, I mean, strangely, under chapter 92, you could have one condition and still declare it unsafe, but we generally don't, because that's not a very wise way of streamlining the process. Okay, so you have the items that we're going to use.
C, D, G, H, I.
Further questions? Okay, motion to, you want to take that responsibility, or would you like me to?
Motion to declare the garage unsafe.
Further discussion? Okay, go.
Chair Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Harvey?
Okay, so it's been the request of the property owner and the recommendation of the engineer that we order it demolished. And so I make a motion that we order the property at 47 Market Street demolished according to a schedule that's been established by the city, with the understanding that the debris will be taken away and then will be otherwise secured in the meantime so that the public cannot be injured in the process. Second? Okay,
Chair Martin?
yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Harley?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Great. Do you have anything else for us?
Unless you have any questions.
Okay, great,
Okay.
great. I appreciate your coming in though, because it's a big decision and establishing the criteria is super important. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to 19 Columbia Street. Do we have photographs? Yeah, this one's kind of obvious. Okay, so the photographs you see, this is the shed. You can go through all of that.
Good.
Yep. Has the property owner,
Yes,
yes,
it was.
okay,
Yeah, they actually have a contractor set up to
okay.
walk over
So
there.
based on the evidence presented by the code enforcement office, the photographs, the documentation that we have, I make a motion that we declare the shed garage at 19 Columbia Street unsafe based on A, B, C, D, E, F, H, I, and J. Whoa. And I think they really do apply in this case. So I make that motion, second.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Go.
Chair Martin?
Yes,
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Harley?
Yes.
okay, I think in this case, the deterioration is more than 50%, so we're mandated to declare it, to order it demolished. I would suggest that we order it demolished within 60 days and in the meantime secured so that the public cannot get inside. And at the conclusion of the demolition, the debris be taken away. Any other recommendations? That's sufficient for you guys?
Yeah.
60 days is okay?
Yeah.
Not sooner?
No, so,
Okay,
because they've got to walk it out of there. 'cause
all right,
there's no
so
driveway.
that's the motion. further discussion? Okay.
I need a second.
Oh, second?
Chair Merson?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Harding?
Okay, our next item is trash removal from 65 Elm Street. And Mr. Aliani is not here. We have the appeal reads as such. Thank you for the fine job you do for the city. I'm appealing the invoice for trash removal of my property at 65 Elm Street based on the fact that the cleanup was done prior to the reinspection notification date. The notification, the original inspection was February 17th. I was at the property on the 19th and personally removed several bags of trash. The notification said that the reinspection would happen on February 24th. However, the cleanup occurred on February 22nd, 2 days prior to reinspection. I was at the property, cleaned up items. Additionally, I sent my property manager again on the 22nd to confirm a still clean property. He notified me the place was raked and cleaned. I appreciate all your office, blah, blah, blah. We're glad he appreciates all the work you do. It is not a requirement that the reinspection date is not the deadline. The reinspection date is when they're coming back to have the trash removed. And so I think we need to, the photographs are significant. There's bags and bags of trash and on the ground too, including mattresses and other things. And this is the after picture.
Excuse me?
Based on our decision, pardon me?
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm a little confused. He was given notice to remove the trash, and he removed the trash. What's the problem?
It came back.
Yeah.
He removed the trash and there was still more.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm assuming that he was notified and the tenants
Okay, so he
then
claims
put more trash out. Or he didn't clean it up sufficiently.
Okay, so he claims that on the 24th, everything was all hunky-dory?
Yeah, because we cleaned it up.
Okay.
Looks good after we clean it up.
Oh, okay, so then you people came along and
Cleaned it properly.
what were the dates on those?
So, he's correct, there's a reinspection date that was stated in the letter. Again, there's a narrative that goes along that I wrote for you guys.
Yeah.
The code requires, we can pick up after 48 hours. That's what the code says. We give them 5 days as a courtesy, which was the time stated in the letter. It says 5 days. The reinspection was 7 days out. That's the reinspection. That's when we come back to work. It wasn't picked up after the 5th day, we cleaned it. And we only hit, the code requires 48 hours, so we can remove that in 48 hours.
The idea with garbage reinspection is that we're
And they-
literally going back to the property to verify that they haven't created additional garbage.
And you don't actually have to, according to the code, notify the property owners at all.
Not for garbage.
They have, if you notice the trash, it can be cleaned up 48 hours later. You did notify him because it wasn't a all the time kind of thing, so.
No. It is an all the time kind of thing there.
No, with that property.
Yeah,
Then why did he get a letter?
because he was getting like bulk items there too. Like mattresses, furniture. At one point they kicked a handrail off the porch. I mean, that's been a very much a problem. And we kind of sent the letters away to say, in case you're not aware, this is a reoccurring constant issue every day.
Yeah, we've had his sole agent, Dan Hunter, who lives locally, was notified. He was notified by a letter. After this removal, we've had 2 more work orders at that property. So it is a constant problem.
If you notice, after the narrative is the letter to the local agent, Dan Hunter, related to 65 Elm Street. And it points out that accumulation of trash is a problem. It gives the 5 days. A reinspection is that date, but it doesn't, it's 5 days after this letter. So this letter was dated the 17th. 5 days later, the trash was there, they cleaned it up. It looks, it's addressed to Dan Hunter.
I make a motion, we deny the appeal.
Okay, thank you. I'll second it. Oh, no, you did.
you already
Okay, good. Let's vote.
Chair Mertzick?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartley?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item is 253, which we took care of. And by the way, your motion failed, but that means not only did the appeal, I mean, you motioned for the appeal to be denied. It's denied anyway because it wasn't affirmatively approved. So we only had 3 members. I voted against it, but it means that the appeal lost anyway. Just so you know, Robert's rules. So 211 Main Street. Mr. Aisha Garden Properties LLC.
I've provided the narrative on that one as well,
Yep.
so you have dates.
Mhm. This is the Japanese restaurant. This is the alleyway behind, and you can see pictures up there on the screen. Mr. Who sent the letter? Who sent the appeal? What's his name?
Cam.
Okay, he, oh, right, there he is. He said that when the company collects the garbage, they leave behind small things that fell from the container and due to the snow is not visible. From now on, we will take care of this situation. This was multiple days that these photographs were taken.
Right, so the very first, those pictures were sent on November 17th of 2022 to all the property owners, I'm sorry, those were taken, an email was sent by Steve to all the property owners on that alley.
Uh-huh.
The mayor wanted us to address that alley, he had been getting numerous complaints, so we notified everyone in that alley. We were gonna be aggressively enforcing.
Okay.
At the request of the city's economic development committee.
And as you note from the narrative, there were trash violations on November 4th. November 4th, 2019, May 14th, 2018, 6/2/2015, a whole bunch of 2015s and some 2014s.
The owner stated he's never had a trash problem there, so that's what those dates are. And then we have removed trash after this event as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've been removing garbage from there at least probably weekly.
Well, the alley is a problem because it's kind of not seen. So there's a feeling that nobody watches, and there's a lot of, I know because one of the property owners, which hopefully you notified, they don't put their trash out anymore. They don't, 812 Dean Street does not have a trash container out anymore. They were having a terrible problem with people putting their trash in their dumpster, and so they keep it inside and it's picked up from inside. Anyway, I'll make a motion that we deny the appeal.
Sorry.
Second? Oh, Charlie, all right, great. Okay, so now Carrie has asked us to, vote. Really, we have to vote?
Not again.
Again.
I'm losing my head here, all right.
You're fine. Chair Mertzick?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Hartley?
Yes.
Thank you for putting up with that. Okay, so one of the routine actions that we take is to pass a motion to suspend penalties on the water bill appeals. So that while we're considering the appeals, the penalties for non-payment don't accumulate. So I will make a motion to, we only have two, I think we're done with our appeal time. Make a motion to suspend the penalties on non-payment of water bills until such a time as we make a decision, which hopefully will be today. Yes?
Chair Marks, Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartley.
Okay, so we have, I suppose I should ask you guys from the code enforcement office, do you have any other items? Did we miss anything before we get to the water bill appeals? Because you don't really have to state those. You can, you're welcome to. But,
My wife needs me.
right,
I have a question.
Sure.
The old Ford dealership building right next to the, I don't know the address on,
27 Market Street.
yeah. And there's people living in there. It's not secure.
That's something that Greg Matthijs, the city administrator, could probably speak to, because that functions
As
at DPW.
you recall, I talked to you one day.
You did, and I told you you should talk to DPW.
I first talked to the police officers, then I talked to you,
Mhm.
and I actually went down to the city hall and I found the mayor coming to work,
Mhm.
and I talked to him, and he said, well, we're gonna demolish the building. There's two entrances, on the lower level, there's basically a garage door opening, which has a little chain link fence about this tall, and it's been pushed down so people can go in, and I saw someone come out of that. And more recently, on the opposite corner of the Justin Street extension, there's kind of a trench
yes,
drive thing down there, and there's a door, and somebody's knocked the panel out of the door, and I thought, well, that's interesting, and then the other day, someone put a little piece of plywood up against it, so there's people coming and
it's
going.
probably a homeless encampment.
Oh, yeah, clearly, but I guess that's somebody should see. The mayor told me, well, I need to talk to the Department of Public Works or somebody else, and I said,
Yeah,
it's not really my job.
it's gonna be a challenge.
Yeah, I
It's
know
gonna be a
that
challenge.
DPW is aware
Well, somebody ought to
There
just
being an
secure
issue.
just secure the thing.
well, I think they've attempted to do that, and,
Well, intended.
yeah.
I mean-
I talked to the mayor about, I don't know, a week and a half ago, and he said, oh, well, yeah, we're gonna tear it down.
Well, you know, one of the challenges that the city faces is that when we declare a property unsafe, or we take any interest in a property, we begin to assume some of the liability for that. In this case, we already have the liability. Like, it doesn't, you know, the city's, this is our building. And so anyone who's in there who might be injured, it's still our responsibility, as opposed to a private property owner who we give orders to so that we limit our liability. I mean, I'm assuming people are sleeping in the stairways. I'm assuming they're finding shelter when it's raining. You know, that's a big open place that now there's no cars in it, there's no, like, people, hey, yay, it's our own little private dwelling. And I think unless the police go through every day and rouse people out, I don't know how we're gonna.
That's not my concern. If it's hazardous to be in the building should be secure, so people can't get in.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't
just that it's
secure it
open in so
without
many.
a police search.
Pardon?
I said you can't secure it without a police search first.
Or 10 more.
They have to make sure everybody's out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's open on all sides,
Like Greg.
and it's really easy to get in if you're a pedestrian. So I share your concern, but I don't,
So it's
I think
difficult to
until we,
It's difficult to secure it, so we're not gonna secure it. Is that what I hear?
no, I think there are just challenges to keeping people out. And as soon as an actual demolition takes place, however that's going to be, it won't be there anymore, and we'll have to keep people away from the rubble until that gets picked up. But, you know, your concern is very legitimate.
What I hear though is nobody.
So what we're trying to explain to you, and I'm trying to do this in a very nice way.
You don't have to be nice, tell me up front, straight
The
up.
code office has nothing to do with securing city property.
I understand
So
that.
we here have nothing to do with securing city property.
I understand that.
If you're concerned about it, you should address that to the city administrator and the DPW, who are charged with securing city property. Chris Yakabuchi, who oversees DPW, will then figure out a strategy to secure it.
And I think you're talking about 27 Market Street,
Yes.
Mr. Hartley. I think you were talking about the parking garage maybe just recently.
Yes.
27 Market is a little bit more likely to be secured than the parking garage.
That's another
The
problem.
parking garage is next to impossible to.
27 Market Street is the gray building, the
Yes.
spray
Yeah.
painted.
Yeah, the old Oneida Sales.
Yes,
Right.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, that, I will go talk to the DPW director and see if there's anything more we can do to secure it. I know
It's not that difficult to secure. You could get an 8-foot piece of, 2 sections of 8-foot cyclone fence, put it up,
Mhm.
and that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you all may be excused. We're going to decide two water bills, and they're fairly simple. So we're looking at, let's see, where are we going first? We're going to look at 15 Ann Street. 15 Ann Street has a defective water meter. And the water meter was removed and found to be defective, and therefore we can change the water bill. The code says, it looks like this. This is the appeal. It looks like that. The people who live there, the Browns, Bruce and Robin Brown, we're writing to request an adjustment to our water bill at 15 Ann Street. Our water usage spiked tremendously, over 50% increase of gallons with no changes in our 2 senior citizens' lifestyle. So we asked to have our water meter tested. Upon being removed and tested, the meter was found to be defective and a new meter was put in by the city. If you look at the very next page, you'll see 2 emails between myself and Marianne Barawa, who is our administrator or administrative assistant for the Department of Public Service. The usage at 15 Ann Street in 2019, 20, and 21, or at least the billing for 19, 20, and 21, no, the usage for 19, 20, and 21 was 75,000 gallons, 43,000 gallons, 42,000 gallons, and then last year they used 67,000 gallons. That's all over the minimum. So their claim that they're senior citizens and they didn't use any water is kind of bogus. But we did find a defective meter, and therefore I asked Mary Ann to average the 75, the 43, and the 42. The average is 53,736 gallons. That is the number that we can base this year's usage. So instead of 67,000, we will only bill them for 53,000. That reduces their bill from $764.37 for water and sewer to $645.86. My motion is that we take that action. We notify them that we have averaged, according to the code, averaged their last 3 years, and their bill will be reduced by just over $100.
I have a quick question. Have they lived there for 3 years?
Not forever. they've lived there probably, I looked at their property records, and I think they've lived there for 7 years.
I was just curious, in 2019, they had a lot of water.
I know. And
Well, that's okay, not a problem.
they didn't appeal those charges. So it may be that their water meter was defective way back then,
Well,
but we had no indication of it.
Maybe they
And
had,
so-
maybe they had a reason and they knew what the reason was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not a problem.
So that's what the code allows us to do, and I think it will give them a little bit of relief, and if I were talking to them personally, if they were sitting right there, I'd say, actually, you use quite a bit of water, for quite a few years. But they're not here, so that's my motion. A further discussion?
Chair Merton?
Yes?
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartley?
Yes.
Okay, so our next appeal is, the people at, 41 Union Street. This is the one that you're not so sure about.
This is the fellow that teaches physics at Harvard College, and he's my replacement. I helped hire him. I know him just casually,
Right, well,
but unless you need my vote, I'll just.
if you look at, his letter it just says that we discovered that our toilet was leaking. We got a continuous usage card from Mary Ann. As soon as that happened, they cut their water usage right down, yes. But if you look at their usage, which is on this chart, in 2019, yes, they used very little water, 13,510 gallons. In 2020, they used 32,000 gallons, which was basically the minimum. In 2021, they used 48,000 gallons. And in 2022, which is what they're appealing, they used 81,000 gallons, and that's what they were billed for. If you look at the monthly usage in 2022, it was approximately 6,000, 6,500 in that range, and then it shot up at the end of the year, and that's why they got the continuous flow card. If you look at between September and October, they used 10,000 gallons, and that's when they got the continuous flow card. And then they were still using it in October to November, 8,000 gallons, and then they shot down to 730. If you go back to 2021, you will see that there was a month that they used 7,000 gallons between April and May. In May to June, they used 5,000 gallons. In June to July, they used 9,000 gallons. In October to November, they used 3,000. November to December, they used 5,000. So they were already using that amount of water. It's just that their toilet that was ran more in 2022. It's my impression that we have to deny this appeal. And honestly, Charlie, if you abstain, the appeal is lost anyway. So you can abstain and feel virtuous, and the same outcome will take place.
Well, what I find curious is not that you use a lot of water, but there's some months where they didn't use any water at all.
Well, maybe they were on sabbatical. I mean,
I think he does a lot of research and travels, and he may be gone for part of a month at a time.
and that's usually our experience, is that, or in 2021, when COVID was still raging, they had their whole family here. And they were home a lot.
Now, what, you refer to a flow card?
When we read the meters by computer,
Yeah.
and it's an electronic signal that goes out. And when they're in the course of 24 hours, your water never stops running. A notice will pop up, and it says it's continuous flow. When that happens, the water department gets a little notice, and they send out a card saying you should be concerned about this because, in fact, it may be in our handbook. Let me just take a quick look.
So he got a flow card?
So he got a flow card because it was running continuously.
It doesn't seem like he could have used thousands of gallons of water between the time that the card came out.
Well, you can. If you look at this chart here, per day, if your hole is that big, you can lose 1,000 gallons.
Yeah, about a 22 cartridge shell.
You can, this is when, this
Yeah, okay.
happens when a toilet's running.
Oh, okay.
And that's what they said happened. So, I don't think it's unfortunate to get such a big bill, but I think they used it. And it went through both the water and the sewer. If they had had a leak that went into the floor, like if their water tank gave out and they didn't discover it for a few days and they lost a lot of water, we can reduce the sewer portion of it. We can do an average of the sewer portion. But that's not, they don't say that's what happened. So I motion, deny. Phil will second. If you want to abstain, you do what you think you
I'll
want
just
to.
abstain.
Okay,
Chair Mertzick,
yes,
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartley.
Abstain.
okay, thanks. Will you notify them the two water bills?
They get decision letters.
Okay.
They get a
And
copy
do you
of the
want-
chart.
Oh, great. Will you, are you gonna get them in?
Additional narrative. We typically don't. You can direct them to.
I might have you do that, and in the case, well, we'll talk about it. I'll email you. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion, anything before the board? Okay. Thank you. I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second?
Chair
Go.
Mertzick,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartley.